Discourse on Metaphysics, section 11. This is a good one. That the thoughts of the theologians and philosophers who are called scholastics are not entirely to be disdained. Now, some context here. Scholastics are those late medieval philosophers and theologians who are working in the schools in Europe and largely following in the tradition set by Thomas Aquinas of interpreting Christian theology in light of Aristotelian philosophy. Now, in this time period here, Leibniz is one of the new philosophers. He's learned a lot from Descartes. Descartes rejects Aristotle. Descartes tries to restart that philosophical tradition going back to Augustine in some ways, and trying to get Aristotle out of the kind of epistemic ground of theology and start fresh. Leibniz is doing something really interesting because he wants to speak multiple different conceptual languages. It's an interesting move. Let's see what he does here. I know that I am advancing a great paradox by attempting to rehabilitate the old philosophy in some fashion and to restore the almost banished substantial forms to their former place. But perhaps I will not be condemned so easily when it is known that I have long meditated upon the modern philosophy, that I have given much time to experiments in physics and demonstrations in geometry, and that I had long been persuaded about the futility of these beings, the substantial forms, which I finally was required to embrace in spite of myself, and as it were by force after having myself carried out certain studies. These studies made me recognize that our moderns do not give enough credit to St. Thomas and to the other great men of his time, and that there is much more solidity than one imagines in the opinions of the scholastic philosophers and theologians, provided that they are used appropriately and in their proper place. I am even convinced that if some exact and thoughtful mind took the trouble to clarify and summarize their thoughts after the manner of the analytic geometers, he would find there a great treasure of extremely important and wholly demonstrative truths. Okay, something interesting I want to highlight about Leibniz real quick. Here's another book that he wrote, the Examen Religionis Christianae. It's translated like this for some reason, but this book is intended to be a book of theology where the reader can't tell if the author is Catholic or Lutheran or maybe even Reformed. Leibniz wants to share his insights in different languages. Leibniz wants to share his insights using different sets of conceptual tools. Sometimes he'll talk like a Cartesian. Sometimes he'll talk like a scholastic. You can sometimes translate back and forth in Leibniz a bit, right? Sometimes, and anyway, it's really interesting. So we want to respect the way that reality finds itself described in different conceptual languages.